Good evening, Tsupiteros, and welcome to another edition of Pillow Talks from Tsupitero.com. As always, I'm gonna talk first about the markets. So let's look at the chart of the PSEI index here. So the market's been, if you look at the chart of the PSEI index right now, the market's been like drifting lower. We have this, the market has created this short-term downtrend since early July. We've been following this short-term downtrend of the market. We rallied last Tuesday and Wednesday, but we sort of like faltered again last Thursday. And we're now encountering resistances here at the 5,968 level. If we follow the trend, then maybe we might drop back down towards this level here at about 5,750 in the next couple of days next week, no? So I guess unless the market is able to convincingly break above maybe around this level here, about 6,100, we are in we have a bearish bias in the market in the short term. I'd like to show you this statistics that I generated, which is the movement of the market every August and September for the last 5 years. So starting from the end of July up to the end of September, okay? So these are the values of these are the closing prices of the market every July, end of July for the last 5 years. And these are the values of the market at the last day of September for the last 5 years. And you'll notice, no, that most 4 out of the last 5 years the market has been going down, and on average it has dropped by about 4%, almost 4% every year for the last 5 years, or an average of about 300 points. Okay, from the end of July up to the end of September. So if we are to follow the statistics here, then we may go down to as low as about 5, 6, or even more by the end of September. Okay, so as you know, the third quarter is normally the most bearish time of the year for the markets. You know, there's the ghost month. There is the tradition. People are normally wary of the season of the. You know, there's always that threat of. There's a lot. Markets always crash during the crashes historically of markets are always happen in October. So you know, for some reason, the third quarter is just always kind of weak for the markets before we enter the fourth quarter, which is traditionally more bullish. Okay, so that's it. So we have again, I'll go back to the chart of the PSEI here. So I'm expecting the market to continue to drop, especially with the onset of the earnings reports for the second quarter. If you'll notice, a lot of companies have reported already, no, this past couple of weeks. But actually, most of those that reported hardly reacted negatively to those negative reports, no? Like for example, Wilcon didn't really react negatively. There was a slight drop in IMI, no? But most of the companies that reported hardly reacted. I guess this is good news for the bulls. You know, it would probably mean that the market has already anticipated and has expected the bad news already for the second quarter reports. No, but if you'll notice, like for example, BDO hardly reacted on its earnings report a few days ago, but even though it didn't react very much on the downside during that day when it reported the news, it's back trading at its lows again, no, right now. So although the second quarter reports have been factored in already by the markets, the markets or prices are still very much dependent on the trend of the whole market and the trend of the world markets, I guess. So, again, although the second quarter reports have been discounted, it's not really a trigger to buy into the market. So that's it. I guess in the short term, we're still pretty bearish on the market. Maybe let's look at maybe the market sometime in a month or two to probably look for buying opportunities. Okay, so that's it. That's my take on the market right now. So before I continue with my with the selected stocks that I'm going to discuss with you tonight, I'd like to thank first one of my sponsors, AP Securities Online. If you'd like to trade with a broker with excellent research reports and materials, do trade with AP Securities Online. Okay, so the next stock that I want to discuss with you is a favorite of most people nowadays. It's MerryMart Consumer. Okay, so MerryMart, if you've been trading MerryMart the last couple of days, I'm pretty sure you've been very happy of your performance this week. The stock, after dropping to as low as 197, is now back to trading at 2 pesos and 68 cents. So if you look at the chart, if you look at the technicals of MerryMart right now, you can see that the stock has broken above its downtrend in the short term. No? So it's been trending down for the last, few weeks, no? But it has broken above this trend line here and is indicating that the downtrend is over and I'm now entering a period of either a sideways trend or an uptrend. Okay, but before I discuss MerryMart with you further, you have to understand, that when you're trading MerryMart, you're trading a stock that is very, very, very expensive. I have this data here on MerryMart. If you can look at my Excel sheet here. Okay. So these are the highs and lows of MerryMart. MerryMart had an IPO of 1 peso, went up to as high as 4 pesos and 50 cents. And is now trading at 2 pesos and 68 cents. It made a low 5 days ago at 197. So these are the market cap of MerryMart for each of those prices, no? So at the very high of the stock, it was already trading as high as 34 billion market cap. At the IPO, it was trading at 7.6 billion market cap, and currently it is trading at 20 billion market cap. And based on its first quarter earnings, just based on its first quarter earnings of 8.3 million pesos, the stock is now currently trading at a whopping 609 times PE. Okay? So, what I did was, I just annualized the income that they got for the first quarter, and then divided it with the market cap. Okay, so this is what I got, 609. At the highs of the stock at 450 per share, it was actually trading at 1,000 PE. Okay, so it was stated in its meeting that they are projected to have 25 branches by by the end of this year, or yes, by the end of this year, no? So assuming 25 branches, and I'm assuming 4 million pesos income per branch, okay, at current levels, they would still be trading at a very expensive 203 times PE. Okay? Alright. I also did a comparison of MerryMart with the likes of Pure Gold and RRHI. Pure Gold is currently trading at 139 billion market cap, while RRHI is currently trading at 94 billion market cap. The first quarter earnings was, Pure Gold made 1.7 billion in the first quarter, while RRHI made close to 1 billion as well. At current levels, if I annualize this income, they would be trading at about 20 to 25 times PE. Okay? MerryMart, on the other hand, is currently trading at 609 times PE. So you can just imagine how incomparable MerryMart is to these companies, no? If I were to value MerryMart with the same valuation as Pure Gold and RRHI, then you won't believe it, no? But MerryMart would simply be trading at 0.11 cents per share. Okay? At 0.11 cents per share, it would trade at about 25 times PE, which is almost the same as RRHI. Okay? Assuming they would be able to create 25 branches this year, okay? At 25 times PE, they would still trade at just at 33 cents per share, okay? It was also stated that by the end of 2021, they would be targeting 100 branches. And at 25 times PE and with 100 branches, they should be valued at about 1 peso and 32 cents per share. So you can just imagine, at current levels right now, at current levels of 2 pesos and 68, the market is actually factoring in as much as 203 branches already, wherein at present, the company only has about 7 branches. Okay? So that's how very expensive the stock is in the short, from a PE point of view. Okay? But, from my perspective, of course, although that's the fundamentals, we still look at the technicals. And in terms of the technicals, I would tend to see MerryMart right now as like a trade range, no? So, because of this very big rally from 197 all the way to 277, a lot of people who sold MerryMart near 2 pesos may have regretted it right now, diba? So, the next time MerryMart drops back down maybe to 2 pesos, then a lot of people who sold MerryMart around these levels, near 2 pesos, would probably be looking to buy back their shares. So, MerryMart, despite being very, very expensive fundamentally, MerryMart will probably not trend down in the short term. It may drop, it may correct back down from it. It is quite overbought right now in the short term. But you can probably trade the range and expect some support as it gets closer and closer to 2 pesos per share. Okay, so that's my take on MerryMart. Okay. All right. The next stock that I want to discuss with you this evening is Dito. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been trading Dito the last couple of days, no? Especially because after that pronouncement of the president of threatening the big two telecom companies, no? So there has been a renewed interest probably in Dito. If the current administration will be pressuring the two companies, it might be beneficial for the likes of Dito, right? Okay, let's look at the technicals of Dito first, so in last March, it dropped to as low as 1 peso per share, okay? And ever since that time, it just did a massive rally all the way up to almost 4 pesos per share. It made a high of 3 pesos and 92. And then after making a high after doing a high here and then making sort of like a double tap here, it gapped down and then started to drift lower, so obviously the stock is encountering resistances right here at near 4 pesos per share, and it's probably mimicking the entire market wherein the market also has been quite weak ever since early July. So it's a bit correlated with the market right now. Let's look at the valuation of Dito relative to the valuation of the other telecom companies. So this is what I did with Dito. So I compared PLDT, Globe, Now, and Dito. Okay, so I put here the annual revenues of the companies, their 2019 income, and then their current market cap. Okay, so as you can see, PLDT and Globe, they're very much they're like almost the same, no? Their revenues are almost the same at about 170 billion market cap. They make almost the same income of about just over 22 billion market cap, and 22 billion pesos. And then their market caps are almost also the same, at about 270 to 280 billion market cap. So at current levels, they're actually almost at par with each other, in terms of their performances, in terms of the valuation that the market is giving them. Okay. On the other hand, you have here Dito and you have here Now, which are still telecom companies that are very speculative, and they're still upcoming, and they're still trying to establish their niche in the market, but despite being a newcomer and despite having no revenues and hardly any income for now, the market is already valuing Dito at about almost of more than a third the value of either PLDT or Globe. Okay? So, is that fair? Do you think that that's fair for the market to value dito at more than a third the value of either PLDT or Globe? Okay? In my opinion, I think the market is valuing it very expensively. I think there's a lot of execution risks that Dito can face, and I think it just went the price just went too much ahead of itself, no. The technicals of the stock is telling us na okay, it made a big bounce here at 1 peso, no, per share. That tells you fundamentally that at 1 peso per share, it's actually quite cheap, no? So let's say we'll change the value here at 1 peso. That will give a market cap of about 40 billion, okay, for Dito, okay? So you already know that is the floor, okay? You already know that Dito is a buy as close to 40 billion market cap as possible, okay? But at 100 billion market cap, I think it is quite expensive. Of course, we all know that at 392 or at 156 billion market cap, talagang wala siya sa lugar, okay? So, with regards to dito, maybe somewhere between current levels and 40 billion market cap would be a better place to buy dito if you are interested in it, okay? On the other hand, we also have now, which is quite speculative, and it's also an upcoming player in the telecom sector. It's trying to get it's trying to get a niche in the broadband market space also. It has pretty small revenues and pretty small income, but because the market is simply valuing it at a very small 3.3 billion market cap. If you were to ask me, between Dito and now, I'd actually go for now better than Dito. Okay, so there you go. So for now, judging by the technicals of the stock, judging by the fundamentals of the stock, I think Dito would still be a bit expensive right now and might still drop a bit lower from current levels. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so before I discuss with you my last stock and my recommendation, I would like to thank my second sponsor, which is AAA Equities. If you want to trade with a broker with automated stop loss orders and automated breakout orders, then do trade with AAA Equities. Okay, so the last stock that I would like to discuss with you is a current favorite also nowadays, and it's APVI. Okay, APVI has had a pretty interesting stock movement, no? It's only been in the market since for just over a month, no? And on its first day, it went up to as high as 240 per share. It dropped back down to 18 pesos, climbed back up to almost 60 bucks, and has just trended lower ever since, no? So from a high of about 60 pesos, it dropped to as low as 12 pesos and 22 cents. Okay? Last Thursday, it kind of rallied strongly, and from the way I see it, if I look at the short-term trend of the stock, it appears to have formed a short-term bottom here at 12.22 per share. Okay, between MerryMart And dito and APVI, I would actually prefer APVI. Dito for me is quite expensive. MerryMart for me is just unbelievably expensive. And ALTUS for me is very, very cheap fundamentally. Okay, let me explain why. Okay? Alto is actually being valued by the market as a shell company. What is a shell company? A shell company is, a company that, hardly has any assets, hardly has any liabilities, hardly has any income, but, it's still trading in the market and is, most of the time, is for sale. Okay? Parang, kumbaga wala siyang laman, and normally the owners of these shell companies, they would probably sell it to somebody else, and then this somebody else would buy the shell company, would probably put an asset into the shell company and use that as a backdoor listing for that company that they would infuse. Okay, so it's an alternative to doing an initial public offering. It's an alternative to doing an IPO. Okay, so instead of doing an IPO, you would simply do what we call a backdoor listing. So there's a number of shell companies in the market. There's probably more than a dozen shell companies in the market. They hardly have any income, they hardly have any assets and revenues, but they're still trading in the market. But there are only a number of these shell companies that are actually owned by the Taipans, okay? By the Taipans, okay? And I've listed here all or maybe most of these stocks that these Taipans own, okay? These shell companies that these stocks own. What is the advantage of a shell company that is owned by a Taipan? The advantage is that because they are owned by the Taipans, and these businessmen have many businesses under their umbrella, they can easily just pick one of their companies that they want to go public with and inject it easily on that shell company which they already own. Diba? So it's very, very plausible for that shell company to become something much bigger in the future, okay, because unlike other shell companies which is not owned by these big business giants, the small other shell companies would probably need to find a buyer for their companies, whereas for these shell companies here, they don't need to find a buyer anymore. The owners of these companies actually have many businesses that they can go public with and use these shell companies to inject those assets. Okay, so I've listed here those stocks. Let me know na lang if let me know in the comments if I've missed any other companies. There's Sun, there's SGP, Davin, ABG, CA, APVI. Okay, so Sun has actually was previously majority owned by Mega World Corporation, which is owned by Andrew Tan, and was recently bought. They haven't infused the assets yet. They haven't issued the shares yet for the assets that will be infused in Sun. But the market is already valuing Sun at 8.5 billion market cap. And, rightly so, because it will Sun will eventually be another casino that will will become sort of like RWM before. Okay? Alam na ng market yon, di ba? It's just that they haven't done the share for asset swap up to now. Okay? SGP is another stock that wherein it was already announced that it is going to be a backdoor listing for the national grid. Okay, so that is why it is majority owned by Henry C. Jr. and Robert Kyoto. So this is also the reason why the stock is already trading at a quite premium of 7.4 billion market cap. Okay, and then we have ABG, which was already bought by Tiger Resorts. The stock is actually owned 67% owned by Tiger Resorts already right now, and it is presumed that Okada, which is owned by Tiger Resorts, will be infused into ABG eventually. The market is giving it a bit of a premium right now because there's sort of like parang a hesitation on the market na parang ano ba, tuloy pa ba tong kay Okada? Or are they still going to use ABG as a backdoor listing vehicle for Okada? There is that doubt. That is probably the reason why it is only trading at 2.3 billion market cap, despite the fact that Tiger Resorts has already bought 67% of the company. Okay, so and then we have Davin, which is owned by Lushiko. Okay, Lushiko, as you know, owns Pure Gold. It owns Costco. Although it is still a shell up to now. Okay, it is being valued by the market at 4.3 billion market cap. Okay. Another interesting stock here is Concrete Aggregates, or CA. This one is 76 owned by the Ortigas Group, and is the only stock I know that wherein it is the only public company I know that is owned by the Ortigas and Company Group. Okay, so I'm just presuming that eventually the Ortigas Group will be using this company, and could probably infuse Ortigas and Company itself into CA. So that could be the speculation there. And of course, APVI is 60% owned by JG Summit. From the way I understand APVI, APVI, for some people kasi they think APVI is simply a property play, and they just infused a part of a mall in Ilocos in APVI. So I believe there's something. I don't think that the Gokong Ways would go into so much effort just to list a part of a mall into APVI. No, I think they just did that to make an entry into the market, but I think they have bigger plans for APVI in the future, and they would probably infuse more assets into APVI in the future. Okay, so at current levels of 14 pesos and 30 cents per share, it is merely trading at 1.4 billion market cap. Okay? So, if you compare it with all these other stocks, APVI is actually the cheapest shell company right now in the market, owned by a conglomerate or owned by one of these big businessmen. Okay, in this case, JG Summit. Okay, there have been rumors also that maybe APVI will be used as the RIT vehicle for Gokong Way. That is also a possibility, but in any case, I believe APVI should have a much higher valuation than where it is right now. I think the only thing that is hindering the stock is that, you know, a lot of these sellers right now, especially the foreign sellers, see APVI as sort of like just a bonus from their shares in RLC, and you know, they're just treating it as simply a cash dividend, you know. So they're not really looking into the future prospects of the stock. You know, they, whatever amount that they could get from APVI, they'll just get it, you know, because they practically think that their cost in APVI is zero. You know, they just got it as a dividend from RLC. So that is the reason why people are selling APVI even at 12 pesos per share. Okay, but from the way I see it, I think there is an opportunity here. I think it's very, very cheap at 1.4 billion market cap, and I think it should easily fetch 30 or even 40 pesos per share, given that it will almost certainly become a future backdoor listing vehicle of the Gokong Ways. So that's it, guys. I hope you learned and enjoyed this video. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more videos in the future. That's it. Good night, guys.